What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask Sloan, where we talk about business, family, and faith. I'm Sloan. This is my co-host, Ben. Thanks so much for being here.
So, Sloan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I'm a fractional chief financial officer. I've been building small businesses for the last 20 years. I'm a husband, a father, a son. I used to want to be a movie star. So here we go.
Okay. Which one of those is your favorite?
I don't know. Probably being a husband. I love my wife.
Brownie points.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if she's going to watch.
So tell them why we're here.
So it's a great question, right? My current venture is a mobile app called Centavos. And, one a great marketing tool for businesses is a podcast these days. But there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of people that are doing this, right?
Absolutely.
So, trying to come up with what my concept was going to be and what kind of value that I can put in the marketplace, it was really difficult. And I was sitting talking to one of my clients about it. He's a marketing guy, Jonathan Weissman. He runs J Weiss Marketing. Awesome dude. We play poker. Good friend. And we were talking about it. I was like, I really don't know what to do. And he goes, ask Sloan. And I was like, what? Because honestly, about 90% of my job is just answering questions. Whether it's answering questions to my clients, to my business partner, to my employees, to my wife, my kids. That's what I answer questions all day. So I thought it was a great concept and fresh and a way that I can bring my perspective and what I've done for my clients over the years to the community.
Awesome. So what is a fractional CFO? What goes into being that?
So a chief financial officer is the officer of the business that manages the financial operations and helps a business grow through raising capital, through analysis, through budgeting, tax liability strategy. Like they run the money in the business. And a fractional CFO, I'm a CFO for 50 companies, right? Not just one, right? And so I'm very passionate about the little guy, the startup, my first business, man, it was scary, fun, crazy. We were broke as hell. It was, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
And I was out there and, I asked tough questions, okay? Like, how do you pay the bills when you don't have any money? And all my mentors, my father's a CPA. I'm like, hey, what do I do? And they're like, I don't know. So I had to figure that stuff out. And then when I started realizing the problem of small business owners, so because I got this accounting background from my dad, then I understood all this stuff about finances, but I didn't know how to apply it until I started my own business. And then all of a sudden I realized most small business owners don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
And how important it is to them when it comes to saving money, having money to grow their businesses, being able to put food on the table and buy their next house and things like that. So that's when I developed the fractional CFO program that we operate today. And I basically help small business owners at whatever stage they are in business grow their business using financial literacy.
Interesting. How long have you been doing that, you said?
So I started, I've been doing it since 2004, but I really started this journey in 2012.
Wow. And how's that worked out for you so far?
Man, I love it. I got to be real honest with you. I love it. There's nothing more fulfilling to me than someone coming to me and saying, hey, I got a problem. I don't know how to solve it. Can you help? And being able to use my skills and experience to get them to the next level, save them money, help them put food on the table, solve problems. It's like being a firefighter. You know what I mean? It's extremely stressful at times, but there's nothing more rewarding.
Yeah. Speaking of the underdog, I think that's where you and I connect because I always feel very connected to the underdog. You're talking to a Mets fan, so so I know a thing or two about losing with grace.
Right?
Yeah, but it's very interesting to me how you're passionate about, the little guy and helping them grow and market themselves to eventually reach their goals. So
It's incredibly underserved,
yeah,
right? Like the first time you start a business, you have no idea what accounting is. You have no idea what a financial statement is. Like somebody tells you to go to their CPA and you like go sit down and that guy speaks a language you never heard before. And then he tells you how much it's going to cost you and you like freak out. And then you create this giant mess. And then the IRS comes and is like, you owe us $30,000. And you're like, what? I don't even have any money. Like, what do you mean? So, I mean, it's a big problem and I love solving it for people.
that's awesome, man. I guess I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself as well.
Yeah, come on.
My name is Ben. My full name is Benjamin, but everybody calls me Ben. I am from a small town, North Bergen, New Jersey. Shout out 070.
070.
070, yeah. I graduated from college not too long ago, just like 3 years ago. I met Sloan, by the grace of God, and we connected instantly. And I'll let you speak to that story a little bit. Actually, how did we get here?
Well, I'm more interested in your side of the story because I'll tell you what I was there doing. I was there meeting Robert, okay? And Robert wanted to introduce me to one of his friends and business partners. She was looking to develop a trust and some business structure for some projects. And so I was just there kind of waiting on that situation to happen. And everybody was real busy. And I'm just standing by the bar, hanging out, drinking a little glass of wine. There's this big old table here next to people. And then this gentleman was like, bro, I love that jacket, dude. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And then he's like, come join us. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here with Robert. He's like, oh, yeah, we are too. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I came and sat down. I sat down right next to you. And, from my perspective, the rest is history. We had a great time. But what interested you in me?
So it honestly all ties together, right? So like I said, graduated from college. I didn't know a single thing about Texas, moved to Texas immediately after graduation without knowing a single person. And then I just pretty much said, I'm going to stick it out here and try to build something for myself. And part of that, I think, is, networking with people and getting different perspectives on life that I didn't otherwise know. And so, I like to consider myself pretty social, talk to different people. And I saw you. And you just happened to be sitting literally a foot away from me. And so, we just started chatting it up. And the more questions I asked, the more elaborate, your explanations got. And I was like, wow, this guy actually has a wealth of knowledge. And so I was like, we connected. And then after that, you pretty much just like opened your doors to me. And so I think that, everything happens for a reason because I never thought that I'd be here from going there. And funny enough, the way that I got there was from meeting another random guy at a coffee shop
Okay.
at like midnight. The only coffee shop in Houston that's open, or one of the only coffee shops in Houston that's open at that time. And it was because I was grinding at work and working ungodly hours. By the way, I do essentially consulting, but like for energy companies. And so yeah, that's pretty much my side, how we got here. So it's interesting because one of the first things I asked you was, like how did you create this type of success for yourself? And so maybe you could tell them a little bit about that.
Well, it's seriously never giving up, right? So, going back to wanting to be a movie star, I went to see Back to the Future when I was 5 years old with my dad and a friend. And I was just enamored. And Michael J. Fox immediately became like my idol. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Right. So then I just followed movies for the next 15 years. And then about 19 years old, I was like, I was done with life. I didn't understand it. I was very angry, and it's like 2 a.m. I'm talking to dad, and I'm like, bro, I don't get it. Okay. So like, I'm supposed to make good grades, right? And then I'm gonna get into college. Okay. Hopefully I go to a good college. Then I'm supposed to make good grades there. And then some company's supposed to offer me a job. I don't know how that works, but I'm going to hate it. And then like 7 years later, I'm going to have some other job that has nothing to do with the degree that I got. Like, can I just skip all the nonsense? And like, I just don't understand. Right. And so Dad was like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think that is an awesome question. I ask that question a lot. I'm going to ask you that question here in a little bit. But I was like, you know what I want to do, Dad. You know, I was so mad he asked me. That was a dumb question at first, right? Because he knew what I wanted to do, right? I was like, Dad, I want to make movies. You know that. And he's like, okay, well, here's the next question. The important one. What are you doing about it? And so I had to think about that one. And the more I thought about it, I mean, the answer straight up was, I'm not doing anything about it. So then it's like, okay, well, what can I do about it? And then it was like, well, am I going to do anything? I'm not going to do anything about it. Like, that's a terrible dream.
So you kind of came to that realization that you're not going to take the actual steps to get towards.
Well, no, because this is like 1999, bro. You're either LA or New York, and I'm in Houston. There is no movie industry in Houston, okay? I'm broke. I know nothing but how to do bookkeeping and accounting, and I hate it, okay? I'm like, I just dropped out of high school a month before graduation because I wasn't going to make it, so I went and got my GED. So, like, I'm, like, trying to figure out there's no way I'm getting to LA to audition for, you know what I mean? And then the more like I wasn't really excited about Hollywood and their value system and like the horror stories. And it's like, so like just the more I thought about it, I was like, this is not happening. And that's okay, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, dream burst. It was like, nah, stupid dream. Like I haven't thought this through. So then all of a sudden, like now I needed something else to do. So Dad was like, hey, if you want to come work with me while you go to school and kind of, figure out your thing. And I was like, if taking over my dad's CPA firm is the worst thing that could happen, like that's pretty good. Like we live a decent life. Like that's okay, So that's kind of how I got into like young adulthood and like headed in that direction. But then like I'm a lifetime learner, bro. I love learning. Like I'm trying to learn as much as I can, forever, probably, right? And I'm studying at that time Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, in a couple years, Mark Zuckerberg, so on and so forth. Like I start studying the business world. And at that point, like I didn't understand business at all. Like I knew nothing about it. I worked in restaurants and I understood retail, right? You sell shirts or food, okay? Like that's all I knew about business. Come to find out, there are a bunch of different industries doing a whole bunch of different stuff, right? So that's when I got the entrepreneur bug, is what I call it. And I was like, man, I can. And it was when Mark Zuckerberg took off with Facebook, and I really studied what that was as far as like a website and what the need was from the audience and everything. And I was like, man, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's what made me an entrepreneur. Right. And so that's when I started figuring out, okay, well, what's my company going to be?
I see. So what came first, the disappointment or the idea?
Well, I was already disappointed. Like the disappointment was like life sucks, bro. Right. But as far as like the idea, if we break that down, I'm working at a CPA firm. Okay, I'm doing 10-hour days on a computer. My back is killing me. I hate it. Like I'm trying to think, okay, what kind of business can I start? Okay, Mark Zuckerberg started with a little website and whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, because brick and mortar isn't going to work. I can't go rent an office space. This office space I'm in is like $13,000 a month. Like there's no like, okay, and then like even $2,000 a month. I think what can I do to make money to get the rental space? Like I'm trying to figure it out. So brick and mortar was not the thing. I'm like, okay, it's got to be tech. It's got to be a website. It's got to be something. I got a computer already, okay? So I need to learn how to code. So I immediately start learning how to code. I went back to school, took a couple of design classes, like went to Steve Jobs route, like learned InDesign and a few different things. And I started learning HTML and PHP and like coding. And like I started building websites and really just like having no idea what I was doing. Just knew those were the skills that I needed to do what I wanted to do. And I started kind of developing this concept around like Facebook and YouTube and putting them together, like it's impossible. Thinking back to like being a producer, like it was impossible at that time to get professional work into distribution. Okay.
Okay.
Like it's impossible. Okay. Well, then YouTube came out, and then all of a sudden it was possible. But YouTube was like funny cat videos. I mean, it was like, home videos, funny cat videos. It was trash. Okay.
Yeah.
So like I was like, man, that's terrible. So what if I make something that's like channels, okay, that like anybody can have a channel, but it's more like, it's more like Comcast, it's more like cable, but it's like channels, but it's like, it's professional, but people could buy them. It's not free, to make it a little bit more professional and everything, but then give everybody the ability to distribute. Okay. So that was my first concept. Okay. And I ended up building out an online television company called Cloudcraft Television. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But that's what really like made me an entrepreneur.
Fun fact for the audience, that story that's for another time was actually the story that hooked me, where I was like, this guy has something different about him that I need to learn from. And yes, it is a long story. We could save it for
Yeah, we don't have enough time in this episode. We'll have to cover that later, so stay tuned.
So what is, you think, the goal for this podcast? What would you say your goal is for this podcast?
So my goal for Ask Sloan is for us to, answer questions, talk about things. You came to me and said, hey, I'd love for you to mentor me and help me in my journey. So I want to show the audience what that looks like, what a mentor-mentee relationship looks like. I want to be able to answer questions from the audience. I'm going to bring questions from my clients. We're going to just talk about business, family, and faith, and how to be the best you can be and accomplish your goals and your dreams. And I'm just going to pull from experience and wisdom, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you think faith comes into play when it comes to entrepreneurship for you?
Well, for me, faith is everything, right? So there's a lot of different levels, okay, right? So I believe in Jesus, so all my faith is there, and I've surrendered to that, right? Now, some people have not, and that's okay. That's where they're at. But if you don't have faith in yourself, if you don't have faith in what you're trying to do, if you aren't developing faith in general, it's too hard out there. You're not going to make it.
Interesting.
You're just not going to make it.
So when it came to your dad asking you that question about what you want to be when you get older, you didn't necessarily have the faith to accompany the dream, so you had to let it go.
Yeah, like I had zero faith in becoming a movie star. It was not gonna happen.
Okay,
that's for sure. Like I did the math, like I'm a practical guy. Okay, like if I can't get there, but I'm a believer too. Like I might be practical, but believe me, I'm a believer. I try. Like Elon's trying to go to Mars. Like I'm not trying to go to Mars, but I'm trying to go to Pluto. You know what I mean? Like we're not space wise, but you know what I mean? Like I am definitely, there's, everybody knows I want to be a billionaire. There's several thousand billionaires in the world. That's a possibility. If that's possible, that's what I'm shooting for. If I don't make it, that's okay. But that's where my goals are at. That's what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's also very interesting to me. Like I said, I come from like a smaller town, and the people in my vicinity that I was usually around, they all had big dreams, but they couldn't necessarily see the path towards their dream. And so I see the connection because speaking of faith, like in the Bible, it says you need faith as small as a mustard seed, right? That's all you need. But if you don't even have that, then you have nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, you brought up a major point, because if you really break that down, it's not all you need is the faith of a mustard seed. It's, what do you have faith in the size of a mustard seed, right? And the end of that is, if you just have the faith of a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain to jump into the ocean and it'll do it. But do you have a mustard seed of faith that will happen if you do that? So that's like, and that's also like the foundation of the law of attraction. What do you believe you can accomplish? And are you willing to do whatever it takes and never give up and have faith in that process to get there?
So where do you think exposure came into play when it came to pivoting away from the dream of being a movie star to being an entrepreneur?
Well, anytime before that day, I would have been like, nah, I'm going to be a movie star.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even, like, no, that's what I'm going to be. But it was really understanding the math behind what am I doing about it? Like, whatever you're doing, that's where you're going. What you do today is creating your future, period. So if you're sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, your future looks like that, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Whatever it is you're doing, they also say that about like who you're hanging out with, right? Who are you with and what are you doing? Well, I can show you, I can fast forward that for you 20 years. And if that's where you want to be, great, then you're crushing it. But if that's not where you want to be, you know, Mark Cuban has a story about how he was like couch surfing and trying and like didn't really know what was up. And then all of a sudden he realized like, this is not the life that I want. And so he started reading everything that he could and getting all the wisdom that he could get and developing skills and figuring out how to be the business person that he wanted to be. And guess what? He got there.
Yeah. So I'm thinking more along the lines of like exposure, right? Because you had that exposure to like what it is to own a business, right? Because of your father. And so do you think that that kind of like helped you pivot in that direction?
You know, I definitely think dad having his own business was helpful to that, right?
Yeah.
He didn't really like I'll even say this, like if I understood the market of accounting, okay, when I was that young, I might have took it a lot more seriously, okay? Because it's a huge industry and there's a lot of money to be made, but I really didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that having the exposure of him being a business owner was helpful, but I wouldn't say it was the catalyst, right?
Interesting.
I it may have given me the notion of, hey, you could do that, but again, I studied all the greats, right? And so like I didn't want to be Babe Ruth, you know what I mean? Like I didn't see myself as a professional baseball player, but I saw myself as an entrepreneur. I saw myself as having the skill set to develop something that the market would love, that would A, solve problems and help people, B, you know, create the success that I wanted, the financial freedom that I wanted to be able to provide for my family and do all the things that we want to do with financial freedom, you know. So I think exposure was helpful, but I don't think it's the end all be all.
Okay. That's interesting. Because I'm thinking, you know, if your dad was a director, then you probably would have ended up being a movie star.
Maybe, but that's a hard business kind of regardless, you know. I was a rebel, okay? So like my dad could have worked at, you know, waste management and I would have figured my own way, you know. 100% blessed that he taught me the skills that he taught me. My mom wanted me to learn two things, piano and typing. I don't play piano. Okay. But I type 100 words a minute, right? So being able to type like that, working for dad, he's like, here's the books, do this, do that. Like I started working on the first computers that ever hit, you know, business desks, doing accounting at 10 years old, right? So having that skill was extremely valuable. So the exposure to a mom and dad that worked hard, that made it happen, that did things like that was vital, right? Super vital. But I was always the one who was going to go my own way. My mom used to tell me, she was like, why can't you just go with the flow sometimes? Just every once in a while. And I was like, Mom, I got to learn the hard way. I'm sorry. So, you know, but there are those of us that we replicate what was in our life. And then there are those of us who see more, want more, and go after it.
Interesting. I'm trying to see how you eventually got to this point, right? Because, you know, you had that initial company that you started, and then you know, there's been a few different pivots in your life when it came to what you were going to do. And one of the things that I see in my generation is like, you know, one failure can be the demise of a person. So they'll fail at one thing and they will just completely stop and pivot to something different. And, you know, you've had a lot of pivots in your life. When do you know whether that failure is just a stepping stone to the next level, or if it's time to kind of transition over to something else?
And that's a great question. And we'll wrap it up with that one today, right? the truth is that failure is a part of the process, and you cannot be successful without failing. I did not know that in the beginning. Okay. I was 100% devastated by the failure of my first venture, like 100% devastated. I literally went to try to get a job and spent 7 months just trying to figure out what the hell happened. Okay. Like, it's a big deal. Right. But there's books on this. Okay. One of them is Failure Way to Success. Like, Elon Musk has failed dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds. He just blew up a fourth rocket. Okay. Like, failure, like, is a part of the process. And so if you're really trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur and how to be successful in life, you need to get over failure. You need to fail as fast as possible, because that's what's going to teach you the next steps and fortify you so you can actually be successful. Because once you get to success, guess what? It's all coming at you. I mean, it's missiles, it's darts, it's like you're getting beat up every day. And if you don't know how to handle it, then you ain't gonna make it. So you want to learn to absorb failure and then process it and move on. And we'll get into more details about how to know when to pivot. Okay. We definitely will. It's very important. But the first step is, don't worry about failure. Okay. Let's leave them with a tip for the day. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is your tip for this episode. All right. Seek wisdom, because it's more precious than gold. All right. The pursuit of pleasure leads to emptiness, and that's not what we're after. We're after wisdom and success. And success does not come without wisdom. So seek wisdom above all things.
Amen to that.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.